Hello, my name is Dirk Krause from Pixelpark, as Peter already introduced me. I try to get in more detail about the smart city services, which we develop on the FIcontent platform. Said that already? Okay, I'll give an overview of the smart city services, but I do this very briefly because Peter told many of that. Also, the experimentation sites will be covered, and I will share a minute or two about the technical platform, about the challenges of dealing in FIcontent 2 and FI-Ware and FI-PPP in general. Then I'll go in closer details on the social network enabler, and I report on developer activation with the social network enabler because we open sourced it and we found out that this is a very good thing to do. Peter said that, so skip that. In general, the smart city platform is a portfolio of functions that you need if you want to create applications on a citywide domain. That's why we created enablers to do that, and also this was said by me and by Peter before. We try to address all platforms and all means, mobile tablets, desktops, and TVs. And also we have a preference on HTML5 based apps, and the good news is that you can take an HTML5 JavaScript web-based app and make it to a native app with a few tricks. There were 4 experimentation sites, or are 4 experimentation sites for the smart city services, which is Berlin, Cologne, Brittany, and Barcelona. And the partners Peter showed already, but this is the subset that deals with the smart city services. Okay, just to Peter showed the website before, and the enablers dealing with the smart city services. The subset of these enablers is here. And what does that mean? In the, let's say, in the technical infrastructure, don't be afraid of the next slide because it's kind of overwhelming, but just look at the right side, and I'm going to give you 2 examples in a second. We created scenarios to do experimentation on the so-called enablers, which are basically simply software components that you can download and install, or that run as a software as a service somewhere. And there's a distinction between specific and generic, which is sort of project inherent and not really important, but just to give an example, from Fraunhofer Focus, the Smart City Guide of Fraunhofer Focus deals, for example, with the 3 enablers they created: recommendation as a service, the before mentioned Open City database, and the content enrichment SE, and uses this to do point of interest search and visualization. For the social network, which happened to be in the middle, which was our part, that's why I'm talking mainly about the social network enabler, because then I know what I'm talking about, is this path through this thing. We wanted to create communities and do groups, and then we took our own enabler, or we created it, and we took the identity management generic enabler for authentication. And we will probably take the Thales community sharing and the streaming GE from FI-Ware 2 in further experiments. The Cologne experimentation that we did and that Carmen conducted in her work package went very well. The Cologne Carnival is divided into the main carnival thing that happens on a Monday, and on the smaller suburb-like carnivals, and we took the subset of carnival that happens around a school in Cologne, and under 20 students of this school were part of this experiment on one Tuesday. What does this social network enabler do? It's a middleware, it's a software component that you can use as a Facebook if you don't want Facebook. This sounds funny, but actually clients come to us. Pixelpark is an internet agency. They come to us and they ask, well, we lose our our users to Facebook? How can we change that? We like Facebook in terms of functionality, but no, we don't like it in any other way. So this is a sort of poor man's social network, and it provides the basic functionality for social interactions in the digital world. And if you know Facebook or Twitter and the likes, you know what I'm talking about, which is posting status messages and images and liking and commenting them. It's particularly useful for intra or extranet-based social networks because you own the data. You can take this thing, you can set it up, you can do some experiment, and you can throw it away or save it or run it forever, as you want. It's a native Android app, and it's a web app for iOS for the moment. We will make a native iOS app also, but as I said before, this is 99% the same code for all platforms, be it a native app or a web app. I'm going to show a video, since this is a little bit. This video is on the before mentioned FIcontent site. Wow.
The social network enabler.
I can't hear myself. It has the status view, which you know from the basic. From the social networks in general, and it has these location-based. If someone posts, then the tags will happen in real time, and you can look at the postings, and you can look at the images. Facebook can't do that. Foursquare can, and we have another timeline view, which is quite interesting because you can see you can really spread the timeline, and it goes down to 1 second if you want to, and you can see the postings in real time. As you can see here, this is a replay from the Carnival experiment, and the last view is of course you can click for big and the usual things that you want to do. The last thing is the mashup view over there, which just vanishes. Okay, and it runs online and offline. So if you lose the connection, that was one big concern that we were fearing that the app. That's by the way the reason why we created an app, because then you could at least start something even if you're not in the network. If the network breaks, then it still saves everything locally, and as soon as it is able to get the network again, it starts to synchronize again. The last view where I just talked is the so-called mashup view, which simply takes the images and puts them on screen so that you can have something like a PowerPoint presentation. The social network enabler is on GitHub. It's called PPNet there because that was the working title. B, nobody's aware of the FI-ware lingo on GitHub, so we chose to give it another name. And as I wrote here, we need something like Facebook, but just not Facebook. That's sort of the claim. It's open source. It's under the commercial-friendly MIT license, so you can basically take our code, rip it, do what the only thing you have to do is you have to refer back to us. But you can use it in a commercial way like you wish. If you have problems with that, just give me a holler and or file an issue on GitHub. We are very responsive. And these people show that we are responsive. We had a request from actually a Spanish developer who tries to use this on a conference, and we had some trouble with our documentation, but he managed to get through it and said, finally, it's working, and he's working with it in this very second. And I got another request from a guy from this well-known company. Who's part of the open source division of Microsoft. And I didn't know from him because he did not have problems installing that. If he had, I probably would have noticed earlier. But what I'm saying is that using open source is commercially a good thing to do. Even if you have the feeling you give away your source code or you're donating it, it's rather the opposite. If you are on a project and you open source it, you have people starting to use it without asking questions about money and so on. Once they run into trouble, they will throw money at you anyways. If they are not, then they have enough time, which is fine also, because then they improve our software. Right, this is a screenshot from when we did a test with this guy from Barcelona. He started to post things so we could see it on our map. The next steps, as Peter said before, we'll have medium and large scale experiments that Peter showed, and La Merced is of course the big thing that Carmen will talk about in a second, with many people. And we will add functionality, more video streaming, especially live streaming. We will get into augmented reality also, like the guys from the pervasive gaming work package. And yes, we will include a game also. I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for your attention.